NASCAR has begun its season here at the Virtual World Center of Racing every year since 1959. And before the field went to the banks for the Daytona 500, Speed Weeks would open with an exhibition race here on the high banks that featured some of the sport's biggest stars. That race has gone through name changes throughout the years and has featured iterations such as the Sprint Unlimited, the Clash at Daytona, and the Busch Clash. But quite possibly the most famous name of this race, and the one that sticks with many of us NASCAR fans from the early 2000s, was the Budweiser Shootout. Under the lights at Daytona, the Saturday night before Speed Weeks got underway, the Budweiser Shootout often served as race fans' way to have an appetizer for the festivities to come as part of Daytona race weeks here as NASCAR gets its season underway. And tonight, we will do much the same as the Challenger Racing League welcomes back the Challenger Cup Series here in 2025. I want to welcome you into the PGR eSports broadcast booth high above the virtual banks of the World Center of Racing Daytona International Speedway for tonight's coverage of the Budweiser Shootout as the 2025 dual season gets kicked off for the Challenger Racing League. Let me introduce you to myself if you're not familiar with me. My name is Dawson Wise. I've been at this for about 3 years now. PGR eSports has become my home base, and now I get to bring some content to PGR eSports that I've wanted to for a while. I get to diversify the product over the course of the next 2 mini seasons, shall we call them half seasons, if you will. Challenger Racing League will follow the NASCAR schedule to all of its individual tracks throughout the course of the season. We'll see short tracks, we'll see super speedways, we'll see intermediates, we'll see road course racing. It's going to be a lot of fun over the next 36 weeks or so as we give you 2 individual seasons of racing, but it all starts where it should. Daytona, under the lights. The Budweiser Shootout tonight. We will set the grid for next week's season opener here at Daytona. 35 laps under the lights tonight. We'll set the grid and get us all set for next week's season opening festivities. Again, if you're not familiar with me, first of all, glad you're here. Glad you've joined me here on Tuesday nights, and can't wait for the journey we're all going to go on together again. I kind of started in this realm of things, started by calling races that are on many different platforms of racing, and kind of got my start there, and then I went into mostly super speedway things. If you've been with me on my journey to PGR eSports, most of my content the past year and a half, save for my Thursday night series, the OP Racing Throwback Series, has been on super speedways. And as such, tonight will be a familiar territory for me, but I jump back into some territory that I've wanted to get back into as we get into the later portions of the season. We'll go over some schedule highlights as well as the night goes on, because this is going to be a really fun season. It will follow the NASCAR Cup Series as it begins its journey this weekend with the Daytona 500, the Great American Race. So thank you so much for joining me. Grateful that you're here, and definitely want to hear from you as well. Utilize the chat, hit a like, and subscribe on the channel if you so choose, and join me on what should be 36 fun weeks of racing. Well, if you've watched my content on Thursday nights, maybe you're here from that, you will see some names in the field that you recognize tonight from that series, and some new ones as well that will join them. This is a series that's taken to the track before. It's been multiple seasons deep now of this series, but now it makes a debut here on PGR eSports, and I'm so glad to be able to bring the content to all of you. And throughout the night, we'll get to hear more about the drivers. We'll get to learn together as this journey begins. Qualifying is on the racetrack right now. We're about to go trackside for the starting grid for this Budweiser Shootout. 16 cars are in the field tonight for 35 laps. There will be a stage break at lap number 20 as these guys kind of get the jitters off, get the rust off, and get back to racing here tonight the only way we should in Daytona. Qualifying wrapping up in the next 10 seconds. Again, take a second, take a breath. You may not get another one. Daytona, it's the next-gen race car. My favorite combo currently, and it happens to be one that there's a lot of focus on. The NASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series racing as we speak at Daytona in these very cars, and kind of kicks off iRacing's Speed Week, so we get to do the same here tonight at Daytona as well. Qualifying is done. We're going to head trackside. You all know what that means. It's time to finally go racing in the Challenger Racing League Challenger Cup Series here at Daytona. Let's get down trackside. Drivers start to hit the grid, and we will do the same as we introduce the starting grid for the Budweiser Shootout in the Challenger Racing League to open the season. On the pole, a fast time of 49.969 seconds, and you may recognize this name, one of the drivers that attempted our version of the Great American Race, the PGR 500 a couple of weeks ago. It's Stephen Luttrell in the 82 that will roll from pole position. To his outside will be James Coitrone in the 38 machine. On row 2, GT Irizarry in the 14 machine will roll from third. It'll be Rusty Modesty in the 6, rolling from position number 4. A pair of familiar drivers to myself on row number 3, Hunter Carlson in the 32, as well as Christian Strader in the 29, a former champion of that Thursday night series, and the defending champion here in the Challenger Cup Series. On row 4, Steve Potter in the 94 will roll from 7th. It'll be Harold Watkins in the 3 that will roll from 8th. And rounding out our top 10, Greg Bourbonier, again another driver I'm familiar with from Thursday nights, and Travis Everett will roll from 10th. It'll be Jimmy Fitzmaurice from 11th tonight in the 33 machine. Matt Hayden will go from position number 12. John Velocity will roll from 13th with the championship 4, along with Hayden from last season. It'll be Brandon Beauchamp rolling from 14th. Row number 8 will be Andrew Little, league owner, in the 68, and Mike Martino III will round out a 16-car field tonight from Daytona. So starting grid is on the track. We now await everyone to get into their positions on the racetrack, and we will roll down towards turn 1 and do a parade lap as we enter in to the season. 35 laps on the board. Again, a stage break at lap 20. Some additional race info that we will go through as well as we get ready to go green. Again, this is the Bud Shootout. Under the lights as it should be at Daytona. 16 cars, and the NASCAR Next Gens will take to the high banks. 31 degrees of banking, 2.5 miles. You know the deal by now here at Daytona. 67 degrees on the racetrack. It will not be much warmer than that. The humidity is 53%, but much as NASCAR will deal with this week, very little relative humidity means the track will be very cool, allow for a lot of grip and a lot of moves. It's clear, very light wind, very ideal racing weather here tonight in the Virtual World Center of Racing. Again, the Cup Series cars, 35 laps, a half fuel load means about a 15 to 20 lap fuel run. Unlimited tire sets tonight, a fast repair in the pits for these drivers. It's a fixed setup, and there will be some green-white checkers should we need them at the end of 35 laps. A new season begins for the Challenger Cup Series. A new era begins for this series here on PGR eSports Network. And again, I want to take a moment. Thank you for your presence. Thank you for your attendance to tonight's event as we get a season underway. Again, the only way it should. Daytona is the perfect place to begin a season. We wouldn't want it any other way than we have it tonight. These guys will be antsy for sure. I talked about it if you were with us for the PGR 500 last week. I talked about the jitters and how these opening parade laps and even the opening 5 laps of the race are going to feel pretty long, pretty nervous as drivers kind of get their bearings with the field around them and get set up better for this season. And again, no better place than Daytona as 35 laps will be completed. And they'll go by quickly. Let me tell you, once you get 5 or 6 laps in as a driver, those laps tick down awfully quickly. You've got to make your moves fast. This is not a long race. This is more of a sprint. Later in the season, we'll see some marathons, but this one tonight is a sprint race, and you will have to move your way to the front to put yourself in position as these top 4 have on the racetrack. The good thing about the next-gen cars, you can do it in a hurry. Let's get down to business. The field pulls off of turn number 4. The virtual crowd will rise to its feet. Not a seat is filled at the Virtual World Center of Racing, and here we go. Welcome to a new era of the Challenger Cup Series. The pace car dives to the safety of pit road. Stephen Luttrell brings the field into the Geico restart zone. Green flag is in the air. We are racing in the Bud Shootout. Back by the start-finish line, Stephen Luttrell leads lap number 1 as the outside falters. James Coitron back all the way to 6th now as the outside starts to try to work some chemistry. Rusty Modesty pushing that line, but not much success so far is allowed. These top 5 cars make it now 6 on the bottom as Coitron drops to the safety of the double yellow line. He'll drop in 6, but these top 5 now, Luttrell, Irizarry, Carlson, Potter, and Bourbonnier all go clear of the outside line and now have a little bit of room to work, and work they will do. Carlson to the outside, the Studio 86 Chevrolet Camaro ZL1 to the help of no one. He'll wait for Rusty Modesty up there towards the safer barrier. The outside going to be mostly the place to be, but I'll tell you this much. iRacing did some tweaking to this race car over the last week and a half. They slowed them down just a little bit, and they made the bottom line just a little bit more viable. It was viable before if you had the right cars, but the side draft, the side force, from the left side of the outside car to the right side of the inside car, and you'll see it start to work here as Carlson goes to work on third place car Steve Potter. But that side draft got a little bit weaker with these tweaks, and that bottom lane, if you have a committed group of pushers, is able to really work some magic down there, especially if that top lane does not come down a little bit the side draft, which you see Carlson start to do. He will fade back above that dark gray seam there in the middle of the racetrack, and as such, that bottom will be allowed to surge. Not much challenge here for Luttrell up front in the 82. He's pushed by GT Irizarry, who shows no reservations with pushing on the back bumper, that unsponsored 82 Ford Mustang Dark Horse. And so far, the bottom lane working really well together, those top 4 cars. Back to the Miller Lite Toyota Camry XSE of Greg Bourbonnier. Modesty, Carlson continue to lead the top. They've got Christian Strader in tow, Familiar Races sponsorship aboard that Mustang Dark Horse. Third in line on the outside, but a bit of a new color scheme. White, orange, and brown for that 29 instead of the usual black, blue that we're used to seeing out of Christian Strader. A new look as per the usual. Luttrell continues to lead some movement back in the field. Brandon Beauchamp is +3. Bourbonnier +5. Potter +4 are your biggest movers. Fitzmaurice now is +3 as well. On that bottom line, about 4 or 5 cars deep. It's actually going to be the 6th car in line, the gray, red, and white Camaro ZL1 along the double yellow line. Back there, 6th in line, right behind James Coitron. 5 laps down. Again, a stage break coming at the conclusion of lap number 20, but a fuel stop will be needed before that. These drivers starting to certainly strategize for that fuel stop as we get closer to a potential green flag pit stop. And on a super speedway on the iRacing service, sometimes a little bit hard-fetched, but so far these drivers playing nice with one another in this race. And not a ton of close pushing. You see some guys, they're laying off a little bit on the pushes so far. And you see it mostly up front here. Irizarry has calmed down on the pushing on the 82. I thought they tandemed together really well. Early in the race, they've laid off a little bit now and calmed down just a bit, and that's allowed Hunter Carlson, Rusty Modesty, and company to reel in the leaders. Carlson alongside for the first time tonight. There'll be a challenge for the race lead. He will not get there. 30 laps to go in the Budweiser shootout. It's Carlson alongside Luttrell as the field works back down toward turn number 1 and 2. A wide shot of the field. The top line picks up a couple more cars and now will become a little more competitive. And now for the first time tonight, new leader in Daytona, Hunter Carlson. To the point for the first time on the outside of Luttrell. Modesty gets a little bit tougher with the pushing. Strader does as well, 3rd in line, and that top line pulls alongside and goes right on by. Luttrell will fade to 4th on the inside. He'll fade closer to 5th, but now a big push here. It comes on the bottom. Look at the block. Carlson top to bottom on the bumper of the 82 of Luttrell, and Carlson controls the field. Plays Pied Piper for a moment as the field works its way back down towards the start-finish line. 29 laps to go in Daytona as Carlson leads the way over Luttrell, Irizarry, Modesty, Potter, the rest of the top 10. Christian Strader, Greg Bourbonnier, Harold Watkins, Travis Everett, and James Coitron. Move to the outside for Irizarry. Carlson will cover and jump onto his bumper as Luttrell continues to lead the bottom now on the push of Steve Potter on the outside. Carlson on the push of Irizarry there, followed by Modesty and Strader, who have been up there most of the race. Harold Watkins gets into the picture as well. Irizarry top to bottom. He'll go for the lead. Alongside the 32, he'll get the point. And as they rocket back down, a split. Carlson in the middle. Now Modesty goes up and around him, and Carlson will fade in the sucker hole. Will anybody pick him up? No, they will not. Now one car will towards the tail end of the field. Will grab him along and pull him into line 5th. In that outside line, it may have been Matt Hayden in the 5. And it was the Oakley Chevrolet. It pulls Carlson back into the fold. Now on the outside, Irizarry challenged by Rusty Modesty for the first time. The Sinclair Ford Mustang Dark Horse. sharp-looking number 6 machine, green, white, and red. Strader pushes. Watkins is third in line, and Travis Everett has gained some spots. He's +3 from 10th to 7th. 8 on the board, 27 to go when they get back to the start-finish line. Strader looks for the right rear, can't quite get it, settles back into push. That's going to slow that top line down and allow Irizarry to go back to the race lead. Top lane down to side draft just a little, coming back to the start-finish line. Again, 27 laps remain in this Challenger Cup Series Budweiser Shootout. If you're just joining us, you missed some good racing so far. Rusty Modesty is your leader after 8 laps of racing. And again, a stage break is coming, but a fuel stop is coming before that in the next 6 to 10 laps. Drivers could be starting to strategize, maybe some saving a little bit as well, trying to make it as close to that stage break as possible before they make the pit stop, perhaps strategizing how much fuel do I have to take? Can I take a splash? Do I want to go ahead and take all of it now with 2 to go and maybe stay out on the stage? And what are drivers going to be willing to do to get back in front for track position when the stage break comes up? Irizarry has done a really good job in this race. So is Stephen Luttrell. Faced some challenges early here now from several guys and have remained the top 2 cars at any given point in either line, whether that's first in the top or first in the bottom or second in either lane. The 14 and 82 working really well together, but now they'll face another tough challenge. It's Rusty Modesty going to the lead. He'll go down to the middle for a moment and come back up and cover the top lane as Strader comes back to him on the outside. Down the Daytona Superstretch, Modesty now leads by about a half a car length over Irizarry as the field works back down towards turn number 3. Going to be experimenting a little bit tonight, trying the drone cam. That did not work right there in turn number 3, but we'll watch them come all the way off the front straightaway here and down towards the line and get a nice wide shot of this 16-car field as they work their way past the start-finish line. Still Irizarry out front, then Modesty, then Strader, and then Luttrell. They battle for third. 25 to go as the scoreboard ticks over, and these guys roll down towards turn number 1. Again, I'm doing some experimenting. Drivers doing some experimenting here tonight as we get closer to the season opener, so bear with me on some awkward camera angle transitions. I'm trying to see what works as we get closer to the season opener because there are some really cool camera shots in here. Maybe we'll get one of them as the field works down to the wide turns 3 and 4. Let's see if this works the way I want it to. Not quite, but generally close to what I wanted it to do. A bit of a drone camera look as the field works into turn number 3 and back down towards turn number 4. 2x2 all the way back. 7 rows deep. 9 cars on the inside, I believe. And actually is only 8 on the inside and only 7 on the outside. And that's because Mike Martino has lost the draft back here in the 75. Lucky for him, we're 5 laps away from the only stage break of the night. 24 laps to go. Modesty in the lead. On the bottom now it's Irizarry, and Strader has switched spots. He goes top to bottom. He pushes the Motorcraft Ford Mustang now on the bottom side of the racetrack along that double yellow line. Irizarry continues to lead. He's racking up the laps led. Now he'll finally get an opportunity to lead that top lane, but will he go too far? Yes, he will. Modesty goes to his left rear, and now Irizarry in a bit of a dangerous position now on the outside, pinned against the safer barrier, and he goes backwards. 14 will be picked up shortly at the back of the field. Again, these guys not willing to make too many desperate moves, let's say, early in this one and early in the season, but certainly no less will to win per se, but a little bit less aggression. Impatience, I think, may be the word. A little bit less impatience if this were 20 to go in next week's race, and certainly I think a little bit less give and more take in that position. But Irizarry's allowed back in line, and now Modesty and Strader go 1-2 at the front of the field on the outside. You remember Hunter Carlson? Well, he's back for more in that 32 machine. He's back up inside the top 8. He'll get inside the top 6 as they roll into turn number 3, and the Studio 86 Camaro is back at the front of the field. Biggest mover is Strader, plus 5-6 to the point. With 23 to go, he'll lead for the first few moments of his season. Harold Watkins is plus 5, and so is Travis Everett. They're second and third in the outside line, respectively. 22 to go, and now you start to wonder when that pit stop will happen. We are 14 laps in. We anticipated anywhere between 15 and 20 on the opening run of the race in terms of pit stop length. And we're now approaching that territory where that pit stop will happen. Strader on the inside, Modesty, Watkins on the outside are going to blaze right on by. It's Modesty back to the point, Watkins will clear for second. Everett will clear for third, but the top two jump down, and Everett will wait on the push of Hunter Carlson. Modesty to the bottom. Watkins goes with him, and they put Schrader now third in line on the inside. Luttrell all the way back to fourth on the inside line, the furthest back he's been all night long. 21 to go at the line. We'll hit lap number 15 as these guys come down and put that lap on the board as Travis Everett goes to the point for the first time. A lot of cycling up front. The pushes haven't been too risky so far, but they've allowed a lot of different guys to lead. Everett, about the fifth or sixth different leader of 16 cars early in the race. As Carlson now, again, got put in the middle a moment ago. Well, he's all the way back to the front. He's going to go back out in front to the lead here for a moment in that 32, and he'll bring the help of Matt Hayden. He'll bring Andrew Little to the front for the first time. James Coitrone back inside the top 7 for the first time since he started inside the top 7 on the inside of row number 3. Excuse me, since he started on the outside of row number 1. Not sure why I get inside of row number 3. Everett continues to lead. 20 to go. 5 laps until the stage break. And again, you may be saying, well, if it's an exhibition, why does this race matter? Why should I care? Well, it's because these guys that are on track tonight will set their starting positions for next week's season opener, an 80-lapper at Daytona. The guys that are not in the field tonight will not have that opportunity to set their starting spots. Everett gets split. He's on the safer barrier now. Carlson and Hayden go to his inside and put him up against the wall. And he will go backwards. Couple of splits so far tonight. Patience level going down a little bit as we approach our first stage caution of the season. Modesty, Carlson alongside one another for the race lead. 19 laps to go. In the Bud Shootout 4 until the stage break, and now the pit stop questions begin as we get into this first and potentially only fuel run. It'll be very close as to whether or not they'll need a second pit stop. They rocket onto the Daytona Super Stretch. You'll get a nice shot of them going down the backstretch, but especially as they climb the banking in turns 3 and 4, as Hunter Carlson leads the way. Onto that wide corner 3 and 4. Hayden to the outside of Modesty, but Carlson a controlling lead with 19 laps to go. Let's go on board. Oh, up close and personal. Rusty Modesty, the pushes starting to get a little bit more personal here. Into turn number 1, you're now on board with Andrew Little, second on the outside behind Matt Hayden, as he tries to push the 5 car to the lead for the first time, and will do so on the exit of turn number 2. I don't think people realize how fast action happens at Daytona until you're on board with one of these cars and you realize how fast everything, the trees, the fencing, is all moving past you at 200 miles an hour when you're in the car. Things happen really fast, and especially in this next-gen race car, the runs are huge in these race cars. You can get right up on somebody's bumper pretty much immediately in this race car. You can control a lot by yourself in terms of how much you move, but also how much your line moves around the racetrack, and you've kind of seen that throughout this race. You've seen the guys that have been a little more effective at moving their line forward. Andrew Little right there. Rusty Modesty earlier. Christian Schrader as well have been able to effectively push their lines forward, and you see the result as now Andrew Little goes to the lead for the first time and will bring a few cars with him. James Coitrone back to his starting spot of second. Little is plus 14 from 15th to the lead. And Brandon Beauchamp will take his first run out front, and with these guys singling out, you know what this may mean. It usually means pit stops, and it will. First round of green flag pit stops of the season is underway for most of the field. Carlson, Bourbonier, Hayden, Modesty, Fitzmaurice, Watkins, Schrader, Luttrell, Velocity, Irizarry, Potter, Everett, Martino are all on pit road. Martino actually on pit road from an unrelated incident earlier in the race. These 3 stay out. 16 to go, only 1 until the stage break. And in fact, these 3 are going to stay out and go ahead and win the stage. And come around and pit and keep track position. Now they will lose it, I imagine, when we come out of pit when these other guys come out of pit road. Imagine they will lose that track position unless the field comes down to top off. But off turn 4, Andrew Little James Coytrone, Brandon Beauchamp will bring their cars to a halt, and they will come down pit road as well. I believe the caution flag will fly at the conclusion of this lap, and it should. So we'll wait on the caution flag, and as these guys cycle to the lead and cycle down pit road and cross the line. A problem on pit road for Jimmy Fitzmaurice. He booted the entry of pit road or got a penalty, either one. Looks like he booted the entry, though, as he'll cede 4th. And here comes the rest of the field. Watkins, Velocity, Modesty, Carlson. Back by the line, they'll take 15 to go. And they will overrun Coytrone, Beauchamp, and Andrew Little as the field works. As that group works its way off pit road, they'll catch them right here on the exit of turn number 2. You'll see those cars on the apron, and alongside come Watkins. Velocity, Modesty, Carlson. They'll actually drop down around Harold Watkins. A second group is coming as well. That group is led by Steve Potter. And has Everett, Irizarry, Schrader. This group right here, Beauchamp and Coytrone, will catch onto the back of this 4-car pack. With the cars that they have, I believe they'll be able to track down this lead group. In fact, they may already have done so. As Andrew Little's actually going to be able to maintain the lead here. So with 14 laps to go, the field basically resets now. A few cars have lost the draft on pit road. We talked about Martino. He just went a lap down. Matt Hayden will not be far behind them to go a lap down, as he is just in front of the leaders now, blending from a potential pit road mishap. So Matt Hayden has problems on pit road. Jimmy Fitzmaurice had problems on pit road, and Greg Bourbonier did as well. Those three are outside the draft. And now Stephen Luttrell, he has lost the draft as well. That means the lead draft is down to 11 cars. Back to Steve Potter that will make up the remainder of the field. 13 laps to go, and now the calm before the storm for this lead pack. When do you make your first move? If you're one of these leaders, if you're Little or Modesty or Watkins, or Carlson even, you're good right now. You're good to ride exactly where you're at. You're in a pretty good spot to win the race. But if you're towards the tail end, you're Aziri, Strader, Potter, you've got to go pretty quickly. Your Velocity as well. You've got to make it happen to put yourself in position. You see Beauchamp trying, you see Coytrone trying, but no help for them right now on that outside lane. So 11 cars will roll off turn number 4, 12 laps to go at the line. Again, the win means a significant deal, as the winner is going to, as I understand it, win the pole for next week's season opener at Daytona. Again, that will be an 80-lap affair. As we've had some problems from 4th on back as Beauchamp. This is dangerous territory here for this group. The side drafting is allowing those top 3 cars to drive away by just a second, but they're not going to get far enough away to break the draft of this group back here. This group will start to catch up, and the field will all come back together. Matt Hayden going a lap down in the 5 car. As the field tries to get more cohesive here towards the tail end. Carlson's in no man's land. Not close enough to tag on the back, but not with any help from out behind him either. Now Everett will get clear, and so will Strader, and he'll have some help. And now you see he closes that gap right back up. Some schedule highlights, a lot to get to here in this opening first season. Again, Daytona will open the season. Atlanta, back-to-back plate races, shall we say. Atlanta a bit unique compared to the high banks of Daytona. Circuit of the Americas, Phoenix, Las Vegas, Miami, Martinsville, Darlington, Bristol. A lot of fun tracks on the schedule. Talladega as well. Change up front. Hunter Carlson rockets to the lead. On the outside, with the help of Christian Strader. He's got the help of Beauchamp and Coytrone and Irizarry, who came up to help him. Everett now jumps up, and all of a sudden the outside's got a huge advantage. Travelers Whiskey Chevrolet to the inside. That is Brandon Beauchamp. The 15, will draw alongside the race leaders to the help of Andrew Little. But up front, it's Carlson and Strader. These two individuals know each other very well, and they rocket right to the front. 10 laps to go. And Challenger Cup Series Bud Shootout. Now Coitron will try to rebound on that outside lane. One car to the inside, that's Fitzmaurice. He will go a lap down as the field works down the Daytona super stretch. Back towards turn number 3. When we get back, single digits will go on the board. 9 laps to go. When we get back around, a caution has not yet graced this race. We have been wire-to-wire green for 25 laps. Will we do it all the way to the end? Daytona tends to lead me to believe no. This track has a way of figuring out you've run a lot of green flag laps, it seems, and saying not so fast. I've got some wrenches to throw into the affair. So far tonight, though, all so far so good. Carlson leads, not for long. Coitron to his outside will nose in front with the help of Irizarry, the Motorcraft. Ford Mustang Dark Horse, they tandem alongside the leaders and will have the run exiting turn number 2. Into the super stretch again, it's Coitron to the outside. That gray and black and yellow Chevrolet Camaro will go to the point with help of Irizarry, Everett, Velocity, Matt Hayden, the lap car, Harold Watkins in that group as well. On the bottom side, it's Carlson, Strader, Beauchamp, Little. For the back, Modesty and Potter round out the opening 11 cars. It's actually 12 with the addition of Matt Hayden again, who is 1 lap down. 8 laps to go at the line. 11 cars in contention for the win. Coitron couldn't decide there, top or bottom. He ends up staying top, but he's way out front now, and this outside line will stack. You'll see them stack up. Let's see if Irizarry pushes, or if he just hangs a left, he will do the ladder and hang a left. Velocity will do so as well. Big move to the inside. Irizarry to the inside for the lead. With Velocity behind him, one of the championship 4 from a season ago. Travis Everett as well. Irizarry, Velocity, Everett now your top 3. Carlson, Strader trying to rebound. Everett goes bottom to top to the safer barrier. The help of James Coitron, the top 2 will tandem away. How long can they stay connected? Velocity, again, one of the championship drivers. Andrew Little, one of those drivers as well. Matt Hayden, a lap down, split up front. Everett gets split out. Or not Everett, excuse me. Everett does the splitting. The 13 Black Rifle Ford Mustang splits Irizarry, and he's going all the way backwards. Modesty will pick him up 5 rows deep. 7 laps to go. Velocity on the inside now, pushed by Carlson. He actually, staying on the bottom, dragged that line back to them. 3 cars clear, but that top lane is very connected. This bottom lane is not. Got to be careful if you're one of these cars up here. As these cars look in the mirror, they see that outside line tandem together and rocketing back to the front. Another challenge upcoming. Travis Everett brings the line back alongside the leader. Travis Everett will try to lead at the line. Irizarry look for the split. He'll get one here on Watkins, but he'll get no help now. He will. Watkins in the sucker hole. Modesty goes with the 14, and Watkins goes backwards. Up front, still Everett leading. Coitron back to second, but now the help disintegrates with that split move out back by Irizarry. On the bottom, Velocity, Carlson, Strader tight together. Then it's Beauchamp in the middle. Now a bit of a move. Matt Hayden's going to help Harold Watkins as Watkins drops back in on the bottom. Hayden will have to hit the brakes just a little bit and jump in line behind Rusty Modesty. Velocity back to the lead. On the inside with the help of Carlson. Everett on the outside with Coitron, but now that outside lane has to get back connected. And Irizarry, I don't think he's satisfied here. I think he wants to go for more. Does he go for another split? He's going to stay in line and play nice for now. 5 laps to go, this time by. They get the hand signal down from the flag stand. Everett back to the lead on the outside lane. Beauchamp tried another split. It did not work. For the lead, here comes Coitron. Big run on the outside. Despite the damage, Irizarry back to the front as well. And tandem drafting now will take precedence. Who is the better pusher? Who has the better cars behind them? We're going to find out. Drag race down the super stretch. Next time by 4 to go. Andrew Little gets split out back by Matt Hayden. That will drag both those cars backwards. Little across his nose. Andrew Little into the safer barrier in front of Matt Hayden. He's going backwards and may have damage to boot. The first incident of the night involves Andrew Little, but we will keep things green. Up front, 4 to go this time by. Front row, Everett and Coitron. Irizarry nose is out for second. Modesty, Strader in the picture. Carlson, Potter, Watkins are as well. And then it's Beauchamp in no man's land. 9 cars under a blanket, 4 more times, 10 more miles in the Bud Shootout. Gearing up for a classic finish here in Daytona. Everett on the bottom has the better push, but Coitron has the preferred line as that side trap comes into play. You see Coitron bring that outside line way down, get right on the doors of Everett, Velocity, Carlson, and Potter, and that parks their run. It stops their momentum and allows the outside to, at the very least, keep even, if not drive back out in front down the straightaway, but not to be denied. Here comes Travis Everett on the bottom. Velocity not to be denied either. With the push, we'll get Everett back clear to the lead. 3 to go. Everett bottom to top blocks Coitron, and it's now Velocity with a push of Carlson on the bottom. Does anybody try to go middle or to the outside? Beauchamp's going to try it again. With 3 to go with no help out back, he's going to need a car in front of him to play with that as well. Nothing going for him out back. He just can't get anybody to make the move with him. Everett on the outside. Here comes Velocity. Another run at the leader for the 84. The Fuel Fest Chevrolet to the inside. Carlson pushes him along. So does Potter and so does Beauchamp. But the outside is more cars and it's more tightly packed. To the middle. Does Modesty take a look? He thought about it. Tandem out in front next time by. 2 laps to go. We'll get popsicle sticks from the flag stand. Everett to the bottom now. To Velocity. Here comes James Coitron. Modesty splits Irizarry again. He's got Schrader with him. Does he get to Coitron as well? He does. Schrader pushes him alongside, but 3 cars. Will they be able to battle alongside the leaders? 2 laps to go. If we make it back to the start-finish line, the white flag will come out. Split in the middle. Trouble out back. 1 car to the outside wall. Looked like Steve Potter. He goes backwards. No caution flag. Another car was involved. It's Coitron. We'll keep it up front as the caution stays furled. Modesty gets all the way to the lead. He'll have Schrader in line. Harold Watkins in line as well. Beauchamp now quickly finds himself in a much better position than he did a moment ago. Velocity is 4th. Carlson now to 5th. He'll get a push from Everett onto the banking for the penultimate time. Starter's got the white flag just underneath the rim of the flag stand. If we get back, he'll wave it, and it'll be all bets are off. Every man for himself. Off turn number 4. They're going to make it all the way. We're going to finish it right here. Who needs overtime? Back to the start-finish line. White flag. 1 lap to go. From Daytona to the inside. A big move. It's James Beauchamp. There goes Schrader. Was the move too early? No help. No push. Modesty back to the outside with Watkins. Here comes Beauchamp. He'll give Schrader a huge push here in 1 and 2 as the field gets back onto the back straightaway. Velocity watching on. Where does the rest of the field go? To the middle. GT Irizarry. Travis Everett. To big move to the middle and they're tandem together. Shades of 2011. Everett drops down. Irizarry goes up. These top 2 are way out front. You got to hope you stay tandem. Watkins and Modesty. Watkins, do you make the move off of 4? Modesty, if he starts to transition to the bottom, is going to throw a wrench in that plan, but he's not going to. Off turn 4, this will be the race for the win. Modesty is 1st. Watkins is 2nd. There's the move to the inside. Drag race back to the line, and the winner is Harold Watkins at the line. A classic finish at Daytona. And with that, Harold Watkins will start on the pole a week from now in the season opener as he wins a thrilling Budweiser shootout. Wire to wire, no cautions, and a great finish to boot. As Watkins beats Modesty to the line by just over 1/100th of a second. He'll come around and get an opportunity to celebrate. What a way to start your season. The driver for Kalamazoo, Michigan, to victory lane. The first driver in Challenger Cup Series victory lane this season. And he will burn it down here on the front stretch. A great finish. And he'll go right to the grass and all the way to pit road. Got to be careful and keep it off the pit wall. And he's going to burn it down right there. He did a little bit of a burnout. Let's see if he does some more. There he goes. Oh. He'll come back around the line. Then we'll give him his opportunity to celebrate, but the smacking Chevrolet Camaro ZL1 for the first time this year is your winner. And again, we'll start from pole position. Rusty Modesty will start to his outside on row 1 for the 80-lap affair next Tuesday night. Several drivers over here celebrating. Sarah Watkins giving him a chance to get in position here to celebrate and have some room. Harold Watkins is your race winner. After he burns it down, we'll go back, take a look at the finish. We'll take a look at your finishing results and get to talk to your top three. And that will conclude the celebration. So let's go take a look at the finish. As we saw it live here on PGR eSports, we'll try to get a better look at the margin of victory as well. There were some incidents out back, but these two tandem away from the field, and then it was classic Daytona racing. In this next-gen car, this is exactly how you do it. It is pinpoint, textbook for Harold Watkins. You tandem your partner away from the field, and then you dip low. At the last moment, you don't allow them an opportunity to block. Modesty tries to come down. They trade some paint, but by then, the run is too much to handle. And Harold Watkins beats Modesty back to the start-finish line by that much. Not even half a car length. A nose, the margin of victory tonight in Daytona. A great finish to a great Bud Shootout race. You may think light fields of 16 cars can't put on great racing. I'm telling you, you have the right group of drivers. You absolutely can. Let's go through the finishing results. We'll get into some post-race interviews as well as we wrap up the night's festivities here on PGR eSports. Harold Watkins gets the victory by 16 one-thousandths of a second in the Bud Shootout. He'll start first next Tuesday night. Rusty Modesty goes second with GT Irizarry in third. John Velocity finishes in fourth. Travis Everett back in fifth. Christian Schrader in sixth. Hunter Carlson seventh. Brandon Beauchamp in eighth. Andrew Little back in ninth. And Steve Potter finishes in the 10th position. Greg Bourbonier in 11th. James Coytrone in 12th. Matt Hayden back in 13th. The first car one lap down. Jimmy Fitzmaurice finishes a lap down in 14th. Stephen Luttrell finishes 15th, 2 laps down after starting on the pole. And Mike Martino III will finish in 16th position and shotgun on the field. We're going to go get your top three for some post-race interviews. Stick with us. We'll be right back on PGR eSports as we get to talk to the first podium of the Challenger Cup Series season here on PGR eSports. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Virtual World Center of Racing, Daytona International Speedway. As we get into post-race coverage from the Budweiser Shootout, we'll talk first to the man on the third step of the podium, who finishes in the third position, and we'll start there next Tuesday night from Daytona. GT Irizarry ran a good race, led a lot of laps, comes up a little bit short of the win, but I'm sure he'll be happy to start on the inside of row number 2 next week, and we'll see what he's got to say about it. GT, it's Dawson Wise up in the broadcast booth. Do you have a copy?
Yes, sir.
Well, a good effort for you tonight. P3 led a lot of laps, looked very confident out there. Kind of take me through your race. It went by quickly, no cautions, and pit strategy means this race went by in a flash, but a third-place finish, a good start to the year, a good momentum booster for you. Take me through your night here at Daytona.
Yeah, it was fun. It's good to be back around these guys. I've been racing with quite a few of these names here for quite some years and stuff like that, so it's good to see them on track again. And I mean, we want to make sure we can get to the front, lead some laps, but then had to get out of that position because I knew the fuel was going to be an issue. So I had to fall back there and kind of just ride at that point in time. And it kind of opened up for us right there at the end. Me and my teammate Travis there in the 13, we had a good run coming and stuff like that. And I think we kind of confused ourselves on what to do. He went low and I didn't know that. So that kind of screwed up our run, but we still came on with a P3. We'll take it, man.
Well, a new season about to get underway, and I know Daytona not a great gauge, obviously, with so many different types of tracks, but, you know, what does this do for your momentum as a driver? It doesn't count for points, I get that, but you now kind of have the jitters out, right, and kind of take me through your mindset going into this season, the game plan going into not only next week, but again, as we get into the mud of this season, if you will, kind of take me through what a race like this, a run like this does for your confidence and your mindset as a driver.
Well, we know the car's good. We know the talent out here is clean. You know, that's the big thing you got to worry about when it comes to Daytona, Talladega, and Atlanta. Or more so Talladega and Daytona. It's going to be more on your luck versus what your skill out here. So we just got to hope that we keep the good luck on our side and try to bring it home in another podium position, or if at minimum, you know, a top 5, we could do that to start the season off good.
Well, you started with a good run tonight. Position number 3, you'll start there next Tuesday night. So before we let you go and catch a breath here after an exciting ending to this one. Is there anybody you'd like to thank or shout out?
I just appreciate the guys for giving me the invite to come out here to the Challenger League. Hopefully we get some more familiar faces in here and try to make a run for this title and this thing and show these boys that we still got it.
Well, we look forward to it as the season gets underway. A third-place finish for you. Congratulations on the effort. Go enjoy it. Go celebrate. We will talk to you soon.
Therefore, appreciate you.
GT Irizarry, the third-place finisher here tonight from Daytona. We'll take you now to the man who had the unfortunate role of leading off turn 4 at Daytona, oftentimes not where a driver wants to be in that position. And Modesty comes up a spot short, ran a good race, and will start second in next Tuesday night's season opener. Rusty, it's Dawson in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
Hey, Dawson.
Well, look, a good race for you here tonight. A second-place effort. It feels a little bit odd to be talking to you on a Tuesday, but here we are nonetheless. A second-place run, a confident run it looked like for you. Led some laps, made some moves. Take me through a clean wire-to-wire race here tonight at Daytona.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at some guys that have been doing this for a while, that have experience in it, that are all safe, and I'm sure we have our aggressors. There's no doubt, but for the most part, the talent outweighs the aggression, so a lot of us can hold on to it. I'm sure you saw some incidents back and forth, but the objective here is just to be patient, be clean.
Well, it works for the whole field tonight, especially works for you. And look, coming off turn number 4, I said it here just coming into this interview, kind of leading into it. As a driver, you don't ever really want to be the leader in the final 1,000 feet at Daytona. Go back, kind of reflect on it. Is there anything you could have done differently there, or were you kind of just at the will of Harold Watkins headed to the tri-oval?
You try to weigh the risk versus reward, and starting second is still better than starting 13th, 14th next week. So I knew that he was going to make a move. I wasn't going to get in the way because I knew either way I'd have a darn good starting position next week. So now just a risk versus reward calculation. And again, hey, we'll be starting on the front row. So I think it worked out.
And we look forward to next week as, again, yes, you'll start P number 2 as you finished here tonight. But a good run, and obviously we'll be back here at Daytona next week. So before we let you go, start to prepare for next week's race. Any thank you, shout-outs you'd like to give?
Yeah, there's been a lot of people working to put this together. Matt Hayden, you're going to speak to Mr. Harold Watkins coming up, who finished P3 today. Kevin Zabladil, James Patrone, Andrew Little, and many more we can throw a shout out to that have really been behind this, driving this, and making sure everything happens and we can get this season kicked off with a bang, along with bringing on you, sir, Mr. Dawson. So thank you for joining the squad, and I'm excited to see where this season goes.
We're looking forward to it. Rusty, congratulations on the second place finish tonight. Go enjoy it. Go celebrate. We'll see you next week for the season opener.
Thanks, Dawson.
Rusty Modesty, second place finisher tonight, leads to the man in the winner's circle, the man in Challenger Cup Series victory lane for the first time this season. What a way to get your season started. What better way than to win? And not only that, put yourself on pole for the season's Super Bowl race, the biggest race of the year, the 80-lapper at Daytona next week. It's Harold Watkins in the 3. We'll see what he's got to say about an eventful night for him here in Daytona. Harold Watkins, it's Dawson Wise up in the broadcast booth. Do you have a copy?
Hey, yep, I got you.
Well, a good run for you tonight. Couldn't have done any better. Go to victory lane for the first time this season, and now we'll start on pole for next Tuesday night's season opening race back here in Daytona. Off turn 4, pretty textbook, pretty simple, I imagine, the mindset, but take me through that scramble to the finish and the move you made to go to victory lane.
Yeah, with like 3 laps to go, we were kind of just sitting there like, hey, we're in the back. We got to make a move now or it's kind of over for us. And Rusty, Christian, and I just lined up, and it worked out pretty perfectly for us. And then we got to the final lap, and Christian tried to make a move a little early, thinking I'd go with him, and I just thought that staying with Rusty was my best move, and worked out. Him and I kind of pulled away as a tandem, and I mean, I told Rusty I wasn't lifting, and I mostly meant because I was going to push him to the lead so nobody could get us with a bigger group of drafting. But yeah, he did leave it open for me, so I do appreciate that, and luckily got to the line first.
Well, you'll now lead the field to the green flag next Tuesday night here in the season opener, and that one counts for points. Tonight, only for starting position, but next week the grind of the season begins. So, to lead the field to the green flag, what are you going to try to do early in the race next week? What are you hoping to drag the field into doing? And what I mean by that is, how are you going to try to affect the way the field races? Obviously, a little bit longer race next week. Are you going to be more patient? Are you going to try to control lanes and race a little bit aggressive like tonight? Kind of take me through your mindset headed into next week's race now.
Yeah, I think the goal is honestly to lead as much as possible. I feel like that might be the safest spot to be for a longer race, and I'm not going to be too aggressive. I'm not going to be jumping up and blocking lanes for no reason unless it's pretty clear. But just try to lead a lap, get a point for that, and I think I get a pole automatically, so that's a bonus point right there, which is awesome. And yeah, just try to stay more towards the front. And honestly, what I'll probably do is try not to lead and save gas. That way I can take less on the stop just by sitting behind people and execute pit stops, and hopefully I can finish the same way when it counts for points.
We're looking forward to it next week as the season officially gets underway on Tuesday night from Daytona. Before we let you go, though, you're in victory lane, so do want to give you an opportunity. Any thank you, shout-outs you'd like to give here on the way out?
Yeah, shout out to everyone working behind the scenes at Challenger to make this work, and thanks to you in the booth, and thanks to everyone out there watching. Looking forward to a good season.
Well, we're looking forward to it as well. Harold, thanks for talking to us here for a moment. Congratulations on the win. Go enjoy it. Go celebrate. And we will see you leading the field to green next week here in the season opener.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Harold Watkins, the winner tonight from Daytona in the Budweiser Shootout. And that's going to bring us now into post-race coverage as we wrap things up from the Daytona International Speedway. I want to thank you for joining me. I want to thank you for being with me here in the broadcast booth high above Daytona International Speedway as we end one race and one early chapter of this season and move now to the next. Next week, it starts to count for more. Next week, points count. Next week, we'll go points racing and we'll start to get into the meat of this season. But a nice appetizer tonight from Daytona. Wire-to-wire green flag racing. Big moves, big passes, big pushes. Guys getting the rust off. And now I think everyone is just anxiously awaiting the green flag to officially drop on the Challenger Cup Series next Tuesday night. Next Tuesday at 8:30, we'll have you here for coverage of the 80-lap burr from Daytona as we open this first of two seasons here in 2025. And again, Harold Watkins, Rusty Modesty will be on the front row for that race. You will not want to miss a thing right back here on PGR eSports. Coming up later tonight, some programming notes for you. Coming up at 10 p.m. Eastern here on PGR eSports, I'll be headed back down to the racetrack and into the broadcast booth again to join my colleague Landon Veliky as we call the PGR eSports Better Half Dash. Coming up in just a moment, the wives and girlfriends of the PGR eSports community run in a special Valentine's Day week race. It's always a fun event. It was so fun last year to get to be a part of that, and tonight certainly will be fun as well as we await the start of that race here in about 40 minutes from right now. Later in the week here on PGR eSports, I'm hoping to have coverage for you from the OP Racing Throwback Series. I've been absent for too long, need to get back, and hoping to get back later on in the week. And of course, the PGR eSports Intimidator Super Speedway Series is racing Gen 6 cars at Talladega this week. That should be a fun one as well. More coverage coming up later in the week as well for other promotions. PGR eSports is all over the place. I believe they're going to have the coverage of Roughneck Racing's Friday night race as well, as Roughneck Racing does its version of Daytona. As Speed Week is in full swing now, Daytona is on Sunday for NASCAR. It's a big week here on the iRacing service as well. Harold Watkins wins at Daytona and puts himself on pole for the Challenger Cup Series season opener at Daytona a week from now. The Budweiser Shootout is now behind us. Next week, we go points racing. Thanks so much for joining me here on PGR eSports. My name is Dawson Wise. I will see you all next week on Tuesday or Thursday night in Throwback Series if you'll join me. Hope you will come back and join me for some more racing action as we get to the meat of this schedule. Until next time, everyone,